So here we are, the best value super shoe that you guys can buy in 2025 has hit 200 miles. So welcome back to another long-term shoe review, Puma DEVIATE Nitro Elite 3 after 200 miles. So why do I say it's the best value super shoe that you guys can buy this year? Well, I've had great success and I know sharing videos on this shoe that you guys have as well. Currently, there are various places you guys can pick this up for around £160. And in particular, with Start Fitness, you can add discount codes on top and get some colorways for less than 150. Now, I'm not affiliated with Start Fitness or anyone for that matter. I'm just saying that this is an incredible value racing shoe. I've PB'd in all the distances this year and it has been an absolutely outstanding performer. Definitely 100% as per the previous video, a top 5 shoe for me ever. Today, with all long-term shoe reviews, we're going to be going through the wear and tear. We'll go through how I've been using it, and then of course, will I continue using it moving forwards? How much more life has it got in there? And answering the question, is this the most durable super shoe that I have ever tested? I'll give you some feedback compared to some other super shoes so that you guys have some comparison. So let's get straight into the wear and tear of the shoe. Just a quick reminder, I purchased this shoe with my own money. Nobody sent it to me. Let's get straight into this. So in terms of the upper, it is holding up really well. Obviously, very discolored, as you can see, but things are still feeling nice and tight, nice and locked in. No snags, no frays, no tears. Everything is merely looking discolored. That is it. Performance-wise and in terms of how the lockdown feels, nothing has changed. The material hasn't stretched. Everything feels really good. Everything you would want to hear after 200 miles. Now, of course, we know with durability with super shoes, in particular, the midsole foams, they don't usually last as long as daily trainers. However, the uppers don't tend to distort or warp too much over time. I have found it with a couple of shoes, but I can confirm that this one is absolutely fine. As for the midsole, well, as you can see, as I just mentioned about the upper, slightly discolored, definitely not the vibrant pink and yellow that it was at the start. However, the midsole is performing really well. In terms of degradation, I don't really feel a lot going on. I think, if I'm honest with you, maybe if I slipped a fresh pair of these on, I might notice a difference, but I can confirm, at 200 miles, the wear in the midsole is minimal. It is doing so well. I'm fresh off a workout with it today, 6x2K, absolutely brilliant. I slipped these on because I wanted some pop in my step, and they delivered. It is still going really well. So in terms of the way it looks, just a few creases here and there. However, performance-wise, still super squishy, still lots of rebound, still holding up really well. As you can see on the outsole, all of the colour has worn off on the outsole. However, again, that is merely aesthetic. You can see that there are some chewed up areas in and around the exposed midsole, the very small bits, but the grip is still holding really well. Front and back, everything feels great. The one thing that's always a little bit disconcerting about these type of shoes that have exposed carbon plates in the midsole is I often find that if I end up going over a stone or some gravelly sections, you can hear a loud crack as they hit the carbon plate, something you experience in pretty much all of them. In particular, the Puma Fast R is notorious for it. This has happened as well a few times in it for me, and you can see here when the odd stone has gone up into this section here, it has started to chew away a little bit of the midsole, but honestly, it's so negligible. It doesn't make any difference whatsoever. It's doing really well. So in terms of the wear and tear, it might look dirty, well used, and a bit beaten up. I can confirm in terms of performance, it is still stunning. So how have I been using it since the 100 mile update? Well, realistically, it's mainly been in training. I don't think I've taken it for any more races since that point. When I got the Puma Fast R in for testing, I decided to then take this to a training shoe, even though I didn't need to. What I tend to do with carbon plate shoes is when I feel like they're done with racing, I'll move them into training. Often do that with the Vaporfly and other shoes. This one had plenty of racing life. In fact, actually, if you told me that I had to race 5K tomorrow, I'd still lace this shoe up if I needed to. I'd choose the Fast R for the shorter distances, but if you said you had to wear this one, I would be absolutely fine with it. No problems whatsoever. But I decided to take it into training so that I could prioritize using other racing shoes. I felt like this has had the limelight on the channel for the pretty much most of the year. So I felt it was time for me to retire it to training so that it forced me to use other racing shoes. Kind of regret it now putting so many miles in it, because the Puma Farstar, although it's absolutely incredible, I did find out in my recent half marathon that it really does beat up my legs over the longer distance. So I do wish that I had something like this still in the rotation for racing. I do have, of course, the Asics Sky Tokyo, the Metaspeed Sky Tokyo. I gotta be honest with you, I'm not really blown away with that shoe. It's good, bordering great, but it's certainly not, for me, better enough than the Adidas Pro 3 that I'm using in training to swap it out as a marathon shoe. And it definitely doesn't feel a fast and poppy shoe, much more of a cruising type of racer. So I do miss having something like that in here, which is why I would love to get a second pair of these. So overall, it's been training, mainly during this marathon training block. I think I've used it for about 6 or 7 workouts over the last few weeks. Well, realistically, last 2 or 3 months, from the early stages of marathon training through till now. And it's just when I wanted to switch things up from the Adidas and have something a little bit more edgy, a little bit more poppy, and give me a little bit more spring, which the Adidas lacks. And it's done really well, as you can imagine. So will I continue to use this shoe moving forwards? You best believe I will. 200 miles is nothing for this shoe. What I've loved about it, sometimes if I run in carbon plates a little bit too much, I've experienced in the past calf and Achilles issues. I find that although it has a low to the ground aggressive scoop here, the less aggressive raise under the arch makes it feel a lot more comfortable, a little bit more natural, so that when I do land and really toe off, I get the full benefit and spring of the foam and the plate combination. But when I land, I feel like the lesser gradient of the plate up here puts less strain on my Achilles and calves, and I always walk away from doing a session as if there's no issues whatsoever. In fact, my legs feel really, really good, and you kind of expect that when you're using super shoe foam. It does aid with recovery. That's why I use the Adidas Pro 3 so much. It's a lot more natural. And yeah, this one has been really good as well. So I'll carry on using this one in training. There's no reason for me to stop. So let's answer that question. Do I think this is the most durable super shoe that I have ever had? Well, the answer is no, but I do think it's more durable than the Vaporfly. So I've tested multiple Vaporflies, have multiple versions, and I often tend to find that around 150 miles is where they start to lose their racing life for me. I do notice a bit of a deterioration. And what I find in training when I've had 2 or 3 pairs now get to the 200 mile mark, some well over that, 250, one I think nearly got to 300, my old Volt colorway Vaporfly version 2. What I found when the Zoom X compressed in those is that the plate was a lot more prominent underfoot, it was a lot more harsher feel, and it did aggravate my calf and Achilles a little bit more. What Puma have done with their foam this year has been absolutely magnificent. I don't feel any of that in this shoe, and at 200 miles, comparing this to multiple pairs of Vaporfly, this is holding up so much better. As I said earlier, if you said to me I had to race in this shoe, I'd still be really excited. It wouldn't feel like a chore. I wouldn't feel like, oh no, I've got 200 miles in this shoe already. I'm just going to get less performance out of it. I'm sure that if I put on a fresh pair, as I mentioned, I get a little bit extra, but it is really, really minimal. It is still super poppy and really good. So in terms of Vaporfly comparisons, yep, absolutely better than that. In terms of Saucony Endorphin Elite, that one fell off a cliff just after 100 miles and went super flat, super quickly. That foam was incredible for about 100 or just over, and then literally it just went really flat, really hard. And once again, like the Vaporfly, I really feel the plate underfoot. The On Cloudboom Echo 3 is another one I took over 100. Didn't get too much more in that one, but again, you do start to notice the deterioration in performance there. There's only one shoe that I think does it better than this one when it comes to durability. And I think you can guess which one that is. Indeed, it is the Adios Pro 3. I've got 500 miles in that one. I've got 400 and something in another pair, and I've got 300 miles in my current training pair that I'm using now, and I think I've got like 50 or 60 miles in my potential racing shoe for Abingdon, and I'm going to leave that one there. I can't see this one going all that way, but I might be proved wrong. I don't know. I feel like I've got to take this as far as I can. I feel like it's easily going to get to 300 miles. It's just whether it can go further than that. And then you've got to ask yourself, is it worth going further than that? For £164, which as I said, you can then get a discount on top of that. So maybe even for under 150, if you can pick up a super shoe that will give you 300 miles, that is incredible price per mile for the performance you get from this shoe. So the answer is no. I don't think it's the most durable, although time will tell. Please bear with me. I'll do my best to at least get to 300 in this one. However, I really can't see it beating Adidas. Happy to be proved wrong though. So there we go, those are my thoughts on the Puma DEVIATE Nitro Elite 3 after 200 miles. What a shoe, absolutely incredible. As I said in my previous video, a top 5 shoe of all time for me. Gotta get another pair. Really, really loving them. I'd love to hear how many miles you guys have in your Pumas. Please do let me know. Have you got more than 200? It would be great to hear your thoughts and feedback. I love doing these videos, and some of you jump in particular my last Nimbus video when I said got to 100, and I asked you guys, how many miles have you got in yours? And you just commented some ridiculously big mileage, and that helps people so much. So if you have more than 200, please do let people know. It'd be great to hear how many you've got in yours down in the comments below. So that's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do consider hopping over to this one up here. This is indeed what I've been mentioning in this video, my top 5 shoes of all time. Go check out that list up there, or if you want to see another shoe video, check out this one down here. I'll leave a link to another one that you might be interested in, and hopefully I'll see you over on one of those.